I have rewatched the All Blacks against the Springboks, and I have some thoughts which I'm going to share, and I'm going to accompany with a little bit of footage from the game as well. Some of my thoughts have been cemented from yesterday. Some of my thoughts have changed. But one thing I can say for certain, confirmation, it was an absolute banger of a test match. And there's lots and lots to talk about. Not least the fact it was difficult conditions to play in. Really, really poor. It had been hammering it down all day. A friend of mine, Lewis, is out in Auckland, and he said to me it didn't come across on the television just how heavily it was raining during the game, but especially that was just in addition to lots and lots of rain which came during the day ahead of the test match. So it was very greasy on the surface. Finlay Christie said that. He said it was really difficult handling-wise following the game. One thing you know about New Zealanders, they grow up in these conditions. They're very, very good at keeping their core skills in difficult conditions, and so it proved in this game. And compare and contrast the first minute of the game. South Africa are on the attack. They win the first kicking duel. They counter-attack Willie Leroux. Then Marco van Staden takes the carry. And then just keep an eye on Jesse Creel and Damien Dialende. I don't know whether it's the conditions. I don't know what it is, but you can just see they kind of both run the same line. And then Damien Dialende just has to kind of check his run. And that just takes the impetus away. Means Jesse Creel's really the only one that's going to get the ball. And he gets hit on the gain line, doesn't manage to take it. It's a turnover, which leads to territory and field position for the All Blacks. Compare and contrast how sharp and crisp their skills are going for this one. And firstly, I think it's important to say, coming into this game, if you were South Africa, what would you have been looking at? You'd have been looking at how good New Zealand's maul was against Argentina. And quite often teams at the start of a game go, let's go for a maul early to assert our dominance physically. And New Zealand, what do? Very cleverly, shape for a maul. But actually, Ardie bounces out the back, premeditated move. They've shortened up South Africa's defence because they've got 4 men just outside Beauden Barrett, but it's already premeditated and pre-planned. It's going to Imoni Narawa. He's still got a lot to do to take this catch, but he takes it. Willie Leroux will be disappointed. He should have done better, but also Cheslin Colby shouldn't have taken that dummy. But that was just crisp excellence and really well thought out and well planned from New Zealand. And then here we go. Big players do big things in big matches, and Beauden Barrett had a world-class moment knocking that 50-22 in. It's a big moment, and it gave his team an opportunity, but that's exactly it. South Africa had opportunities that they didn't take. Again, this is straight off the training paddock, and it's really, really clever. By putting Scott Barrett up at the back of the line out, even though he's not catching it, that gets Ruan Nokia into the air, means South Africa don't have a man at the back. Malcolm Marx has got a big job to do to cover. Wallace Satiti's got the ball, doesn't even look where he's passing the ball. He knows Will Jordan's going to be there. He probably set off before the line out even started, straight through the hole. Malcolm Marx will be disappointed he didn't make the tackle. But what an absolutely brilliant try. And this was just superb coaching to set them up with those set moves in the can already. Brilliant stuff. Now, there were lots of moments in this match where South Africa looked really, really dangerous in attack. Counter-attack here. They won the kicking battle, got some good counter-attack. And when the ball was on a plate, and I'll talk about what New Zealand did to South Africa's breakdown, when the ball was on a plate, they were able to get the ball to the edges, use it really well, but not enough, not consistently, and not for enough phases, because eventually there would always be one error or other. In this case, Grant Williams' pass goes astray, an opportunity missed. One thing watching New Zealand is that they had real variety in their attacking play, different types of kicks. Sometimes it would be out the back when you were expecting a forward pod to crash it up. Sometimes they crash it up when you're expecting it might go wide. There seemed to be thought, crispness, and variety. And at times I thought South Africa lacked a little bit of that. And I think it may have been the conditions, but here you can see 4 times in a row, good off the top ball off a line out, crashed up by Damien Dialende. Fine so far. 1 out runner, hit it up. One out runner, hit it up. I mean, it's good carries. 1 out runner, defence is better on that one from New Zealand. Hit it up again. And eventually, ball gets kicked away, opportunity lost. There just wasn't that much deception. There was one time when there was a little bit of deception from South Africa, or at least they thought it was going to be deception. But it looked like New Zealand were more than ready for this move. which they immediately reacted to and snaffled out. And it just seemed like New Zealand was sharp in mind in the game. And this was just a prime example of exactly that. They knew what was coming and they had a plan. And another example of the sharpness of mind, look at Wallace Satiti at the back of the line out, recognising it's going to the back. It's over the 15-metre line. He's more than entitled to go through. There's no offside line. And he can go and make an absolute menace of himself, which he did. As it happened, it led to the scrum, which South Africa got a penalty and 3 points from anyway. But just one, this is not really to do with South Africa and New Zealand. This is a broader point about rugby in general. This is one of those examples of why players are starting to dive in the game, which I hate diving. I really, really hate it. And I don't want it to happen. And good on Pieter-Steph du Toit. He is such an amazing rugby player and a just good human being. He would never dream of diving. But, you know, other people might look at this and go, well, he should have done. Because, look here, South Africa got really good front football. Grant Williams has spotted a little hole around the breakdown. He snipes, and he would have had Pieter-Steph du Toit on his shoulder to carry the ball through, had Pieter-Steph du Toit not been tackled off the ball by Tupu Vai and Scott Barrett, which is illegal. South Africa got 3 points from it anyway. The only point I'm making here is not about this one so much in this match, because the penalty came, but it's more about the broader point that now what's happening is players in Pieter-Steph du Toit's situation are throwing their hands in the air, falling on the ground to try and let the referee know they were tackled off the ball. Anyway, that's another point, because like I say, the 3 points came. I've talked about what South Africa were able to do with the attack when they had good ball, but there were too many times in this match from their point of view, and this is to New Zealand's credit in defence, where the ball at the breakdown was a total mess. This is a prime example. And actually, Rassie Erasmus talked about this in his post-match press conference about how, and he said, he made the point of saying New Zealand weren't doing anything illegal, so it was nothing that needed to be officiated. It was just today, South Africa weren't very accurate with ball placement, with presentation, and as a result, there was too many times when, I mean, this is a prime example here. Grant Williams goes, Oxenche with a really good carry. He gets the go forward. Grant Williams is standing where he thinks the ball's going to be, and it pops out in a completely different spot, giving New Zealand the opportunity to counter-ruck, make a mess of it, slow things down, and then just compounded by Andre Pollard falling over. But then look at this next breakdown as well. New Zealand just going in for it, and they're perfectly entitled to do so. There's nothing illegal there. Simon Parker was an absolute nuisance at the breakdown. Scott Barrett too. And it just slowed everything right up. And then another thing compounded. South Africa get a bit of territory, pressure on, but give away a penalty. And just have a look at here, how much trouble Grant Williams was in, how much pressure Tupu Vai was putting on him. It was just oppressive from New Zealand. It was absolutely brilliant from them from a defensive perspective. And just sort of finishing up South Africa's attack, I've seen a lot of people say since the game, this needs to be the end of Tony ball and we need to go back to classic Bok rugby. Watching this game again, where was the Tony ball? I didn't see it. I think it was down to the conditions, but have a look. South Africa played, for the most part, pretty pragmatic, traditional Bok rugby. It was relatively low risk. It was an emphasis on the set piece. The scrum was dominant. There was good kicking game and pressure put on. I mean, look, Damian Dialende, Pieter-Steph du Toit have both crashed up, and then Grant Williams goes to the air. Really good pressure, kick chase. South Africa get the ball back. They've got some territory, and this is the moment, right? This is why you do box kicks, because when you've got a really organised defence, and New Zealand's defence was very good, a box kick is one of those moments where if you can win it back, the defence is completely out of shape, not in a position they want to be in. And Grant Williams recognised this and thought, right, this is go time. Unfortunately, you can see New Zealand's defence is going to be stretched if South Africa can deliver that ball wide. They've got the numbers there already, but Grant Williams slips at the crucial moment, and the opportunity was gone. Ultimately, in big matches, it's small moments that define games, and we've already seen two of them from New Zealand. Their tries. South Africa had more 22 entries than New Zealand. New Zealand only had 5 and scored 3 tries. That's an incredible hit rate. South Africa, sorry, however, well, they had many more entries into the 22, didn't manage to make it count. This is one such moment. Really good ball, gone. Andre Pollard puts in an incredible 50-22. Absolutely world class this moment. Man, that's a coach killer. And that's probably a moment to talk about the line out more generally. My perception at the time, having watched the game immediately, was that South Africa's line out was a mess. It wasn't great. They missed quite a few, but so did New Zealand. Scott Barrett, Tupuvi, did a job, did a really good job. But so did South Africa. They got some of their own. What's more important is what you do when you do actually win the line out itself. And, well, here's some more crucial moments in the game. South Africa go for the maul on this one. Scott Barrett's legally got himself in that position, which is really annoying when you're attacking. I do think Scott Parker was completely illegal there. You can just see Ruan Norkia tapping him on the back and pointing to the assistant referee. He did change his bind. It wasn't spotted. I mean, he got away with it, so you got to say fair play. Simon Parker was excellent. Also, opportunity came from this line out. Spilled by New Zealand on their own line. Good pressure put on. But ultimately, white line fever. Shinox and Che have just waited one more phase. He went for it. And Rico Ioane, to be fair to him, really, really good defence there. Another line out platform. And another 22 entry. And obstruction is what happens next. Too many runners running down the same channel. A little bit like that clip of Jesse Krill and Damien Dialende at the start of the game. This one, I didn't think this was forward. It was given forward. I didn't think that was a forward pass, to be honest. But there you go. Them's the breaks. And talking about obstruction, which we've already seen a few of. You've just scored a try. You have a restart, and this happens. Talk about a big moment. That was big. And Rassie Erasmus's reaction says it all. Anyway, I've talked about the line out. Let's talk about the scrum for a second. It's clear that dominant teams aren't getting as much reward for scrums as they used to in the past. What refs are doing now is if the ball is available at the back of the scrum, they're letting them use it, which I don't have a massive problem with. What I have a problem with is that and letting the feed be so crooked that scrum halves are just, in rugby league style, throwing it straight to the feet of the number 8, which we saw a couple of times in this game. There's got to be a contest in there at some point. Look, you can see Wallace Satiti, as soon as the ball's in, he's already unbound because the ball is straight at his feet. There's no hook going on there. There's no contest there. Same here. And Ardie Savia gets a really good carry from it, and this leads to 3 points because Peter Steph Toy gets pinged. There's got to be a contest at scrum time. I mean, the one time you can actually take control of it is when it's your put-in, and South Africa actually really exerted the scrum pressure on their own ball. And actually, they just monstered New Zealand at one point, so much so that even on their own put-in, good night. That is just, what an image that is. So yeah, scrums are amazing was one of my takeaways watching the game again, which I already knew. And watching it again just cemented in my mind the accuracy was just not there from South Africa. They did lots of good stuff. New Zealand, South Africa managed to win it back. And what I just said a moment ago, when there's a box kick, one of the things it's great for is it pulls defences out of position. So South Africa, now they've won it, recognise there's going to be space somewhere. There's an opportunity. It's go time. Andre Pollard knows that. Tries to take advantage. There's no one waiting where he thinks there's going to be someone waiting. Opportunity gone. Again, South Africa win. Really good ball from the aerial battle. Get the ball. Managed to find a hole. What I thought was interesting here is look at Andre Pollard when he's talking to. He gets the ball from Kobus Reinach, but watch Andre Pollard. He's pointing, go the other way. It's too late. The comms haven't been early enough or clear enough, or Kobus Reinach and Andre Pollard aren't reading each other well enough. So Andre Pollard wants it to go one way. It comes back to him. And then a little bit later in this sequence, it's really good rugby, good defence and decent attack. But have a look here. You'll see Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu just come around to the right-hand side in a moment. Man, this was a good game. Hell of a rugby match. Damien Dialende, how many times does he get over the gain line? So physical. Names being taken. And there is a moment where it's on, and you can see Sasha Feinbergen-Gomezulu's got his hand out. Now, give me the ball. And you'll see in a minute, Beauden Barrett on the opposite side, he's the last man on the left-hand touchline for New Zealand. He's shouting to his support, get to him. So Sasha has spotted an overlap, wants the ball, hand out, doesn't get it. Moment is gone. Look, Beauden Barrett is there saying, quick, come over, come over. There was space and there was opportunity on that side. It was not taken. But let's return to opportunities taken, because that is what you got with New Zealand. 522 entries, 3 tries, exerting pressure. And when they got into the 22, they kept on squeezing and forced mistakes or forced poor decisions, which they managed to extract out of Quacker Smith here. There's already penalty advantage. South Africa are getting desperate, and he goes in. That's a poor decision and a deserved yellow card, in my humble opinion. And from the resulting pressure, they eventually narrow South Africa up. The space is it, and then they have the skills, and they back themselves to go. I thought New Zealand were really good. They're going to need to be better at scrum time. But so much to take out of that game for them. From South Africa's point of view, watching it again, I didn't think it was as poor as I thought the first time round. I can't imagine they're going to make that many errors in another game and let as many opportunities, entries into the 22 go. And they did a lot of really good things. And I think if the game had gone on for another 10 minutes, they would have got the draw, maybe a win. Just didn't take chances in crucial moments, but it was so relentlessly physical. The defence from New Zealand was heroic. The attack from South Africa was just brutal in that second half. Really nice try from Cobus Reinach, who had a big impact when he came on. It was just awesome Test match rugby right to the last. 2 fantastic teams. Just how sore those bodies must be today. And how fitting that the man on his 100th appearance for New Zealand was finishing the game saying, "This is my house, this is my house." And he had his moment. I actually thought, for what it's worth, that the Simon Parker in the back row alongside him was huge. Tupu Vai as well, and Scott Barrett. I thought they were exceptional and difference makers for New Zealand. So yeah, some thoughts in summary. So yeah, in summary, a banger of a match. Absolutely loved it. New Zealand are going to have to improve their scrum. Their core skills remained better in poor conditions in this game. South Africa, I don't think played the Tony ball that some people have described they're playing. On second watch, it didn't look like that to me. They looked like they weren't far off. And if that game had gone on another 10 minutes, they probably would have won. But New Zealand were heroic in defence. Their scramble and their commitment and their smartness, their rugby smarts, was what ultimately won them the game. It was a more mature performance, and there was a few naive things from South Africa, but overall, amazing match, and loved watching it again. Hope you loved some of those thoughts. Let me know what you reckon.